Welcome to The Polished Lens by The Perception Shaper, the podcast show that will help shape your perception about life so you can live a better life and thrive. On Polished Lens, I will share deep and diverse perspectives about life, from learnings gathered over the years, from my studies, experiences, and conversations with people. If you're at a crossroad in transition through phases or making a critical daily decision, this is the show you don't want to miss. Hello everyone, thank you for listening in to another Polished Lens episode today. I'm FolaFayo, the Perception Shaper, and your host on this show. So, how has the month been like so far for you? Any highlights yet? I've had quite a few on my own end, but maybe one that strikes differently for me was my first time at a live comedy show, all thanks to my hubby who actually set up that surprise. As I got to watch a one-time winner of America's Got Talent, Paul Zedin, and his puppet. There's quite some talent, and I must say we did have quite a good time. Of course, we also celebrated women worldwide on the 8th, and the focus this year for the International Women's Day was Break the Bias. I know that quite a number of other platforms are still, using this theme in some of their conferences and sessions. But, it's quite an interesting focus for me, especially considering that we all might have erred on this in one way or another at some point and actually need to be intentional about doing it right. Now, let me drop this reminder. If you're at a point where you truly desire something different, or more in your space, like a next level, or you see a new season approaching, or you are planning a new season intentionally, I look forward to supporting you through that transition. You can book your free session today on thepolishedlens.com or get a free download of the Thriving Code as a first step, and you can get this access on thepolishedlens.com. Again, don't forget, you can thrive in whatever season you find yourself in. Today, I'd like us to look a bit into sustainability. You see that word right there? That's really a big one for me. Yes, sustainability. In this short life of mine, yes, I'd like to call it short because I still trust God to keep me healthy and, for quite a long time being a blessing in this lifetime. I've actually realized that it's not that hard to start a thing, to set something up, to set something in motion, to come up into a change. However, where the work really is with sustaining that start or maintaining the change. And this cuts across every life endeavor you can imagine. Starting a business is one thing, staying in business is another. Finding a right life partner to exchange vows with on a wedding day, at an altar, or in a ceremony is one thing. But staying married and happily as well is a different ballgame. What about creating a change like, say, one wants to lose some kilograms or pounds of body fat, or break off an addiction? A day, 2 days, a week, 2 weeks might be a stroll in the park compared to staying off that comfort item on a long-term basis. The reality is that sustaining, maintaining, retaining, in other words, staying consistent with a change is really where the work is. And this makes my mind actually go to the word legacy, especially because on the faith and marriage platform that my husband and myself serve on, leaving legacies is a major focus. And we've also come to learn that to pass on anything virtuous or to hold it well at all, some intentionality needs to go into it. So today, I'll share 3 quick ideas on how to sustain a desired change or whenever you find yourself on the journey of change. The first one will be holding the image. I learned this mantra from one of the mentors I met on the Maxwell leadership team. You see, before you started taking those deliberate steps to change, there was a picture or vision that you had in mind. Or well, I'm hoping that was the case. So if you didn't have one per se, now is the time to create or develop one. The image of the final end of that journey has in it a hope-stirring ability and an energy and a power and a grace that pulls us as long as we continue to hold it. Even people of faith will agree with this principle. When we recall how God called out Abraham, one night like that to see the stars and consider the numbers as the generations that will come from him, God wanted him to have an image he could hold on to. So, what do you see? The second on maintaining a change is appraisals and milestones. This is one practice even organizations embrace. when they have periodic reviews of their progress vis-a-vis their plans. And this actually helps them appreciate how well they are doing, what is working, what isn't working. When the progress is as projected, they celebrate the milestone, and when not, they make any required adjustment, because a tiny off-tangent position over time will take them completely off the track that they desire. And the earlier this is checked, the better. So, do you get to reflect, review, or appraise that change track you're on, that journey that you're on? And are you giving yourself a pat on the back for doing well? Because, sometimes many of us are actually not celebrating our progress or our growth, and that is actually quite needed on the change journey, right? And when necessary, are you starting to think through on what you need to do to make corrections or to tweak or to make adjustments where needed? Usually, when this is done, it enables a realignment, because if one has been light on intentionality, the drift default would have set in. So getting yourself to do these reflections, do your appraisals, celebrate and tweak is a very critical point to be able to sustain the change that we want. Now, the last but definitely not the least today is accountability. Let me stress that. Accountability. This one can never be overemphasized. I can tell you from personal experience and observing people that staying accountable keeps you on track. It helps you sustain a change or transformation. I'm sure if you look at every area of your life that you've been deliberately accountable, and you've also been sincere about it at those moments when you had those accountability conversations and not holding back on the things that were really happening, you have seen great results and consistent ones too. I know that in the fitness space, for example, many who have trainers that they are in touch with, actively, they see great results that will be long lasting as well. And same for those who have mentors in the business space or coaches or even just accountability partners. I have certain people in my inner circle that I'm also accountable to on some key things in my life. And it's not the same when I try to go alone in any of those areas. It's also why I offer accountability partnership as a resource to that intentional person who desires a next level and also wants to really thrive. Someone who might be saying, I have great friends, but I still need an additional voice that can see the future image with me, keep me accountable to holding the image, be objective when I review my progress, and be in sync with my journey. If you're listening in today, and you feel that this might be you, let's confirm this together on the free call. Book your preferred slot today on thepolishedlens.com. There's never a perfect time to take a step to more, but there's always no better time than now. Let me say here, when we're on a journey to change, or whenever we're trying to maintain a change, the truth is sometimes we sleep. So let's say you tell yourself that, oh, you know what, I'm not going to, or let's say you're not going to take more than one cookie per day because you're someone who really enjoys cookies. There will be times when you will find yourself taking 3 or 4 or going back to the same number you used to take in the past. It's not about the falling moments on that change journey that should worry you. It's if you get back on track. And the more you get back on track, the more quickly you get back on track, and the longer apart the times that you fall, the better. So the idea is making sure you get back on track. But if you're still at a point where you see that I'm on this change journey, but I seem to be going back to my default a lot of times, then we definitely should have a conversation, or you should definitely look into some form of accountability or another. Remember to also get your free access to the audio version of the Thriving Code that will give you insight into all the steps that can help you to position and to thrive on this change journey. You can get this download on thepolishedlens.com. And don't forget, as you continue in the month, that I'm cheering you on to thrive. God bless. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of The Polished Lens. I am FolaFayo, the Perception Shaper. God bless.